People, deluded. If you're not going to take anything away from my videos, people, make sure you download the OneFootball app. It's a terrific application developed by the guys over at the OneFootball network. Make sure you visit my description for more of that. If you don't want to do that, go on the OneFootball network website. It's a terrific application, people. I can't just say that enough, and I'm not just saying that for the sake of it. Why I like it? It allows me to stay on top of every bit of information there is in regards to football. It doesn't matter if it's transfer speculation, results, fixtures, manager talking points, player talking points. They have everything covered, and the sheer velocity and in-depth of some of the content, you can't put a price on it, people. The one big feature I like out of everything, when it comes to transfers, they've got it on top. They tell you exactly where the rumour or the information was first brought out, more or less. And it tells you how the strength of the rumour. And it also tells you what that could mean for the team moving forward with fellow supporting articles. It is the #1 application for the general football fan. And in fact, not even the general football fan, the honest football fan. The fan that really loves football. If you really love football, you'll download the OneFootball app, people. Because for me, it is the best on the market. Like I said, link is in the description. Visit their website. Link is in the description. Link is in the description. Link is in the description. People, I don't want you lot to do yourself a disservice, and you lot are the real followers because you follow me. Make sure you download the OneFootball app. People, deluded, I'm out. People, deluded, I'm back again. Now, ironically, England's under-21s are out of the Euros, or the European Championships, better yet. They're ironically playing their final game today as well. And they were probably, I wouldn't say they're the only topic of this vid, but they were the people, watching them go out in their last game against Romania sparked the trigger. Now, England, we've had some failures at some tournaments, but in recent years, youth level, we've been developing some good players, and together with what you're seeing at first team level, you're not really seeing rivalries with Dele Alli, for instance, Lingard and Sterling. You go back 20 years or so, them sort of players that play for that club, they would all hate each other. They're all boys and things like that. So football is changing, and we've got to be adaptable to that change. And I think we're seeing some good coaches within the backroom staff of England. I do think there is some dinosaurs still within the game, and you can't have innovative coaching and the new age player and have the same outdated robots. So improvement needs to be made. But I feel we've developed some good players. We've won stuff at 17s level, at 18s, World Cups as well. If we're not doing that, we're getting to finals. This year, well, this summer, the last couple of weeks, hasn't been the most successful period for any youth ranks. Now, excluding the 15s. And 16s and stuff like that. 17s, they didn't make it out of the under-17s European Championships. I remember watching that. I feel game management let themselves down. They're still young players, and they can immediately learn from that. The under-18s made it all the way to the Slovakia Cup final, and I believe they lost on penalties. It happens, people. You know what they say about the English and penalties, if I can remember correctly. I could actually be wrong on that. The under-19s did not qualify for the European Championships. That's actually under this 21s. The under-20s didn't qualify for the under-20s World Cup, so they're playing in Toulon. We've won that, 3-4 times in a row. We failed to get out of the group. And to be fair, I feel that squad in particular was a bunch of individuals, really and truly. It's not a criticism of the players. Maybe in terms of selection, I don't feel, again, statistically, I could be wrong, but I don't feel too many of them players collectively had real chemistry, people. It was just a mix and match, really and truly, in terms of that. 21s, between personally letting ourselves down, between, I believe, question marks have to be asked of AD Boothroyd personally with some of his tactics, hasn't been the best of things. Now, the end goal is not to win these competitions, it's to develop players, which we have been doing, people. I think, I wouldn't even, people saying it's the end of a cycle, it's the end of the disc. You could say, in terms of a winning run, of course it's probably the end of a cycle, but these things are going to happen. We can't be expected to dominate at this level all the time consistently, because like you're seeing with the Dutch, the Italians, do I need to tell you about the French? You're seeing some other nations out of Europe developing. It's going to happen, people. We're not going to do it. Obviously, we need to look inroads and think, why didn't we qualify for this? Why didn't we do that? I believe, personally, our players probably have shown collectively over the age groups is probably in these couple of months, is probably an inability to handle game situations and deal with, I don't know how to describe it. You know that saying when Mike Tyson says everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face, essentially. I feel the players that haven't necessarily had that, and I feel we haven't got the most active fingers, and it's shown, people. I do think experience plays apologies, people. I do think experience plays a factor as well, but I'm not too sure, man. There's not one way you can really look at it. There's not one set of answers. At the end of the day, football is very complex. Talent identification and youth development is very complex, because if you was to get the best Dutch players or coaches, the best Brazilian coaches, the best Argentinians, the best French, all in the room, they'll all agree on a lot. They'll all disagree on a lot, and that's what the beauty of football is. Football, I always tell you, lot, you have to be a student of the game. You can never assume you know anything, because football will always show you've got a long way to develop and you've got a long way to learn, and previous preconceptions you could have had might not necessarily be true. The end goal is to develop players, people, and we know we've got a lot to go to do in terms of that. How realistic the dynamic is, I'm not too sure, because we are developing players. Just look at the many homegrown Chelsea lads, for example, or players at Arsenal, for example, even at young at Spurs and United. The issue now is chances, and to be fair, there's nothing for all the criticism of the FA, there's nothing the FA can do. The FA can only identify players for the future of England, get them all blooded together, have talent identification procedures and national codes of conduct and frameworks and stuff to filter down at academy levels, to improve the way we look at players, the way we develop players, the way we look at players in terms of our conscious and unconscious biases as well. Hopefully that improves our intelligence. You improve your intelligence, you should play. There should be a wider eye, and more players should get looked at, and players should be developed to a better level. That's what the FA is in deal with, and we develop players. You just need to look at players once they get from the 18s to the 23 setup, and they're anything from 18 to 21. You look at the Premier League. We all know that's a whole different dynamic now, people. We all know, with the competitive nature, the need for instant results, the fickle nature of fans. It's crazy, people. It's not really realistic, people. It takes a lot of balls to play young players. It sounds easy, but at the end of the day, you need to remember everything's on your head, people. And I don't feel many people that bang on for young players to play, they can't understand that these players, you don't know what you're going to get one week and the next. So they're still developing. There's no such thing as time in football. I do believe patience is very overrated, especially for these young players. I mean, I think it's overstated, but I think it's very underrated, people. I think as much as I feel coaches and all people need to be held accountable, I feel fans need to generally upgrade their IQ when looking at young players or players in general as well, because yeah, we all know there's a whole different dynamic. As much as Arsenal claim to be a team for young players and things like that, and I believe it is, you look at the statistics for last season or in general, players have, whether it's homegrown from here or elsewhere, players have left to go and want to play first team football. Maybe with Chelsea's ban and allegedly Lampard coming in, stuff changes. But Chelsea, we all know it's an open book of young players not being given chances. United, a club that's always with that. They're having issues blooding players through. Everybody is. That's not the point score. It is, because we ain't got time. As much as I myself, you don't know me, I want Mavropanos, Emil, and all these other English domestic-based players to play. But that will make us more competitive than we already are. Less competitive than we already are. Do you get it, people? When you see what other teams are doing. So I understand it. Do I think the Premier League and the FA or whoever can ever come to an agreement where something can be put in place to ensure players get game time? Until I see something that makes me believe otherwise, I don't think so. Because how feasible is it? Because as much as I love young players to play and things, I wouldn't necessarily agree with if there was rules in play that said you have to have X, Y, Z English-based players in your squad for the obviously there is the homegrown rule, but every game week you need to have an X amount on the pitch. You need to do this and that. If there's a smart person out there that can find ways of deterring buying other players and doing other things, then maybe yes. But then if there is an incentive to play English players, we also need to remember the transfer dynamic, people, which makes me to believe this can never be done. Because look at the transfer market, people. If there was a mandate for clubs to just really use homegrown players, and I don't know why I don't feel right banging on for homegrown, because football's a national game for all nationalities and stuff. Something just tells me to stop saying that word and things, but you've got to look at the transfer market. If there's a mandate to play young players, let's just say, cool, people, Deluded, I've got my academy, I'm bringing up these academy players, they're all playing and stuff, but let's just cut the crap and say, alright, cool, I'm playing my academy players, but this left-back position looks a bit weak. I don't feel he is good enough. I need to buy one, but I still want to do a buying English thing. I then go and look at XYZ left-back in France, and obviously not always, but in France, in Brazil, or I ask my scouts in these places, yo, you got any fullbacks there? They bring me up stuff. How much is he going to cost? Again, just examples, people. 5 million, 2 million, 10. Alright, cool. I owe it to myself to stay with the British stuff. So let me inquire with my British home-based scouts. Okay, what's your scouting report saying? Yo, I've got this guy from Leeds, I've got this guy from Fulham, I've got this guy from wherever. How much is he going to cost? 50 million, 40 million, all of these mad stuff. How many career games has he played? Well, boss, he's probably made 50 appearances in total. And if you've got to look at it, people, look at James Maddison. I love James Maddison, but how long's he been at Leicester? And they're already saying 60 million. Now, I'll be doing the same if I'm Leicester. I'm not critiquing Leicester. I'm just saying the dynamics in terms of when young players can get chances if they can. At the end of the day, people, the best way to understand football, youth football, is crabs in a barrel. Crabs in a barrel, that's all it is. Because if you look at Arsenal, we say all of these young players are good and that, but they're fighting the dynamics. Emre, based on this season, has shown a reluctance to play them. Arsenal are not in the most best way of in positions in terms of a squad. We're behind Spurs, which most Arsenal fans find it hard to say. We're behind Chelsea. We missed out on top four by a point. We need immediate results. These young players might provide immediate results, some of them, but 9 times out of 10, they're developing. Fans are not going to have time for that when we're getting worse and worse, rightly or wrongly. So it's crabs in a barrel. They're fighting that. Amici, Saka, John Jules, Trey Coyle, Eddie, Joe, Sam Greenwood, Malcolm Elowabi in the 18s, I can never say his name correctly, Aziz, all of these random names I've just said, people. What's the common factor when you speak about them? Oh, he's a good footballer, he's a baller, he's sick, and they all are. But that's why they're at Arsenal. That's why Jadon Sancho, Foden and Diaz, for example, are at City. Because they're some of the best players, most elite bracket in the world. That's why you're there. So it's almost a so what thing. Okay, you're this good player, you're one of the best in the ends, you're one of the best players in nationally. So what? So am I. So am I. So am I. And you think of when there's 10 men saying that, it's not really that special anymore, innit? It's the minimum requirement. So they're now all competing against each other. That has its benefits because it's sink or swim. It brings the best out of you, people. Because at the end of the day, we're humans and it's me or you. We're very selfish, so that can bring the best out in people. But at the end of the day, is it necessarily the best? Well, you look at things from... You don't know, I'm a man that looks at things from many sides. And this is a very complex and diverse topic, people. I want England players to do the best. If it's not Jamaica, I want England to do the best, of course. I want to see a team that reflects me, a team that reflects our DNA and what we're trying to do. And it is happening, but clubs have to want to play young players, and I think they do, but it's an impossible dynamic. So I don't think anything can change, people, unless something affected transfers and spending and the whole new, because one thing I think coaching is actually understated. I think people will praise Conte when he won the league. They'll sit here and praise Klopp and Pep and Poch and all of these guys, but I don't think people truly understand coaching. They'll praise some managers when they're getting the best out of players. Look at Poch and Sissoko, but don't truly understand coaching. I feel, and me myself, I say it, I'm an Arsenal man. We clearly need some better players, especially in the defence. But even some of the players I don't feel are good enough, Emre should be able to coach some. Do you get it, people? Because that's what you're seeing at some other clubs. You have to be able to coach young players and coach certain players that are past it or not deemed worthy to play to a certain standard. I do think in general with England, because of the money and because of the just now. I think that the solution is always to buy a new, to do a new. And I think that as well myself. I want a new left back, people. I don't want to have to coach Kola. I believe Kolasinac. I believe he's 26, 25, 26, 27, however old he is, yeah. I like him. But he's old enough to know I need to be able to defend defensively better. So I would rather a Turney who we've been linked with or whatever. But I do think a good manager should be able to coach him, or a good manager should be able to coach that past it City player or whatever. Do you get it, people? Coaching and utilising what you kind of have in terms of resources, I don't feel it's encouraged in England, people, because you'll be called an idiot for not spending money. And there are rights and wrongs, people. I am saying I haven't said one bit you shouldn't invest in people, because you can't always do it with homegrown players, and some are just not good enough. And I do believe in signing new players. It can boost the squad and take them up another level. I do believe in all of that stuff, people, clearly. But it's a very complex question and stuff, and the way you look at it. Admittedly, people, I'm not going to lie to you, I've been here longer than I assumed I would be. Yeah, I'd like to have a shower, man. It was a pretty hot day, and the central line isn't kind to you in rush hour, people. So on that note, people, Deluded, thank you for watching and rocking as usual and tuning in. I'm out.